I am Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to Tennis Manager 24, episode 17. We're into March, and it's a 200 level tournament for Martina King. I didn't think I was going to do any 200 levels, but she is losing form. She has struggled with the 300, 500, and especially the slams. With poor performances back to back to back, it's weighing on her, and with the dipping form, I felt relevant to include a couple of 200s. We need some performances out of her before we have, well, all four of our athletes struggling. Second round, and we nearly lose this one, but we pummel her in the third set to finish the job off. But that's the kind of stuff that has you worried. But Montgomery and Hovda both making some progress in their tournaments. We got a second round exit for Hovda. Montgomery wins in her second round. Another tight contest in the third round, 4-6, 7-5, 7-5. Barely +8 on points, +10 on winners. And Montgomery out in the quarterfinal. And it's a semifinal loss to a player who is barely inside the top 75. 5-7, 7-6, 4-6. That's not really doing us any favors when it comes to that form. You can see just how vulnerable each and every one of them is without form. Here's how we're looking in that department now. Anticipation bonus has slipped by 1. Stamina and footwork bonus have slipped by 1. Physical was getting worse off. I just trained physical this last week for the first time in a while to help with that. But our technical attributes, which is our weak point to begin with, I have been training heavily in the key areas for her game plan. And they do have +2s. But everything else is falling away. Timing does have a -2. Due to her rackets, but she also has a -1 penalty, putting her in the negative. And so, yeah, this is worrying. As she's starting to fall into neutral, she's having a hard time right now in development. Hovda, relatively neutral these days, and we've absolutely fixed the key areas to her game plan other than natural fitness having a -1. And Montgomery is really struggling from her injury at the start of the season, plus the goals that we set. We fixed the morale, but her form is pretty dang bad right now. Nguyen, who I've been making a lot of progress with, has had a bad run. She has not won a match this year, I think. And so the form that I'm working so hard on through training isn't actually panning out, and her negatives are actually getting worse when it was close to neutral a few weeks back. So we're at Indian Wells, but it's 300 juniors Indian Wells tournament. We are the 2 seed for this one with a hard first round draw. Like that is us in a nutshell this year. Well, back half of last year when we started to have the slip. And we're out in the first round. Hard draw, hard draw, hard draw, hard draw. Every single 300 level tournament or above, we have had mathematically one of the hardest draws that you could have. One of those just outside of the seeded ranked players drawn against us when we are a 1 or a 2 seed or a 3 seed. Every time. Without fail. It's been, at or near 100% of the 300 level and above tournaments have started with hard draws. We're out. This is just killing her form. Hovda at least made the quarterfinal before going out. Nguyen finally wins a match this year. She's got one more to go just to qualify for the lowest level tournament. As much as I dread the fact that we are likely to lose the other 3 athletes besides King here in November, part of me is kind of going, well, let's see if we can get somebody else who could actually do something. I would like to hang on to Montgomery. That looks like it's not going to happen. That's the one I would like to keep. But she's also having a terrible start to her year, but that was brought on by injury. As we come to the end of the period, Nguyen, 0 points won. She got a total of 2 wins. Montgomery, 45%. 45% win rate. We had her at a solid about 70% last year. 69K is all she got out of all those tournaments too. She's somehow still 96th in the ranking. She was up to 90th with, I would suppose, a few retirements. Hovda, a little better, but it's still 45% win rate. She's still not building consistency. That's more money than she won in any periods last year, but it's not great. And King hasn't won a tournament, down to 72% win rate. We are having unmatched struggles because at least in season 1, when the other 3 were atrocious and I didn't understand why, even though a lot of it was my own doing because I was not training, I was just throwing them in tournaments and then they weren't performing and then it was like, ah. Anyway, at least King was performing. Now she's not performing either. No players, no athletes are performing this season. It started with motivation and goals at the start of the year. That's nothing new. We had that last year too. We overcame it. I've already overcome it. Like, they're happy. In fact, King is the only one who's not happy now. I've overcome that. The training, it's not perfect, right? It takes a combination. The training is one thing, but you have to perform in tournaments. It takes that combination. And we do the training, and then they go and underperform in the tournaments still anyway. And so while I've helped, they are not as bad. None of them are anywhere near as bad. Even Montgomery, who's lowest on form, even she still has the mentals. Even she still has a few fixes here and there, some -1s, but all of a sudden her surf power is a -3. I mean, it's just insane that I cannot get anything going with her right now. We're in trouble. This is a scary time. Through 3 months of the year, March was our best in terms of tournament winnings at just 18,000. That's another thing that's really hurting us right now because we are about to come up on 200K debt, which is not far off from what we had for the entirety of last year. Yes, we still have 3 Grand Slams ahead of us that even now Montgomery still qualifies for. So at this rate, she might not qualify before too long. She's going to lose a lot of points in the near future. So this is a scary moment. I'm freaking terrified of this getting out of control. I was so worried about season 1 and what the finances were going to do. Season 2 was like, hey, we're figuring this out, and I was so happy and positive and optimistic, glass half full, like all the way. And I'm back to, holy crap, what is going on here? So here I am back down at a 200 level tournament, a place where we once, well, technically we only won 50%, but we really did dominate these things, making finals almost every time. It's just win or lose in the final, and the occasional semifinal or quarterfinal loss. I'm terrified in the first round right now. This is not a hard draw because, well, there isn't quality, and the little bit of quality there is all seeded. We need to make a push and get deep into this tournament. We've gotten through the first round. We win the second round, but my oh my, did we make it close. That was not a serious advantage. Quarterfinal, tougher match. Yamamoto, 28th ranked, 5th seed here. Getting through to this balanced. We are in better form. We are the favorites. We've beat her once before. We beat her here. This is all just like sigh of relief kind of stuff. This is supposed to be an easy tournament that we are supposed to dominate. We are winning. We have not dominated. Yadescu, 92nd ranked. This should be an easy one. It is. We're into the final. This has got to help with that form, right? Nagunye, meanwhile, has begun her qualifications for a tournament with a win. And after an upset, we've got an easy final matchup. We better win this. Though it is seemingly close. It is a win. It is a win. King, her first win in 6 months, 5 months. And Nagunye lost that second round qualifier, so did not proceed into the tournament proper. It's not back to full, but it is so much better than it was. The form is coming back after that victory for King. Sigh of relief. The physicals and mentals are definitely back on top, and the technicals are rebounding. One tournament win, and just like that, she's just about found that form. So staying with the theme, 200 level, just trying to get that form. Of course, it's just been resolved, but that doesn't mean that it's going to stay like that. A couple wins here, I think, would have us be secure for a while. I won't have to worry about registering for a 200 for a while, or maybe just the occasional 200 level tournament, and then focus primarily on 300 and above. Is probably going to be the way to go long term. With seeded opponents from the quarterfinals all the way through the finals, those last 3 rounds, King hangs on and wins each of them and has won back-to-back 200 level tournaments. The final, the only one that ended up going 3 sets, as we went to tiebreakers in the second set, searching for a winner, and ended up having to go all the way to a third set, where we then win a second tiebreaker, but getting the win this time around. Plus 10 on overall points played. It looks like the fact that they only played 200 points and went 3 sets, I would imagine there wasn't a lot of long rallies, or at least a lot of long games. I think it was probably pretty comfortable on winning a game. Winners was high, plus 18. Unforced errors was almost identical. Forced errors we were a little bit behind on. I have trained recently, just a week or two ago, serve, and we're up to 95 miles an hour now. We're starting to catch up to a lot of these other juniors who we've been seeing in the high 90s. We haven't seen much over 100 miles an hour, so now that we're up to mid 90s, we're getting a little bit closer to having something similar to what they have. But clearly, technicals, as much as I've made gains, we're still lagging behind the competition in that area. It's a little bit late to turn back now. I think I scheduled 3 200 level tournaments in a row, so hopefully this is the last of them, as we've already claimed 2, and we've done what we needed to do. King's form is back to top notch. One positive: we're a little tired after winning back-to-back tournaments and now being in our 3rd straight tournament. Quarterfinal, it is a win, but the last couple rounds have been awfully close. Meanwhile, Montgomery finally making quarterfinals. Something she was consistently doing last year was quarterfinals or semifinals, tournament after tournament after tournament. It was not building up her form, which was crazy, even though we were training. But with the micromanagement, with good morale, maybe we're starting to get somewhere finally. By the end of April, still at 172k debt, which is rough, considering we're about to turn into May. And for the 2nd month straight, we've set our record for the year in terms of tournament winnings, but it's still only 16k. It's still only moved up to 3rd on the list. We haven't had a single month yet where tournament winnings exceeded the value of others. And now that the debt is growing, the banking cost is also climbing up. So 6k offsetting the 16k we made, meaning we actually only made a 10k dent on the monthly losses, which is, expected to be 70k. Final against Depasova, 31st ranked junior, 6-1, 6-3. A lot more comfortable the last 2 rounds than what we saw in the previous 2 rounds. So King makes it 3 straight. No concerns at all about that form anymore, but we are also into May, and our current balance is where we finished last year by the start of May. Looks like we're going to be in for some sort of ghost donor stepping it up and helping us out again. Another bank loan coming. Maybe this time, though, if it sets up just right, we'll at least have some sort of positive balance that we can turn around and invest into infrastructure, because that's the only way forward. We have to increase the earnings, and right now we're losing earnings. We're going backwards. Nagunier loses her 2nd qualifying round, so she does not make her tournament proper. Unfortunately, Montgomery has made the French Open, so she is set to participate. Let's hope she can stay healthy this time. actually really disappointed that Nagunye still has not figured out how, because we've resolved her form. This is neutral form. This is a player that should play to their skill level. And her skill level should be such that she's at least making lowest level tournaments and getting wins here and there, but she's so bad off that, she can't even qualify for the tournament proper. She has earned 1 point this season. Just a couple weeks ago, she actually qualified and won the first round. So it took 3 wins in a row to get 1 point. That's how bad she is right now in terms of the rankings, that she can't get into those tournaments proper, and that it takes 3 wins just to earn a single point. But as that's not considered a deep run, that's still only making second round of a tournament. It's not giving her any boost. So I think at this stage, this is about as good as I can get Nagunye until she actually starts winning on her own. And that's really just not happening yet. It's subtle. The difference is not much. It's taken 2.5 months to even get this far. But King is back to top. Havda, physical conditions up there, the morale is up there, but the form remains weak. Can't quite get it to neutral. Nagunye got a little overtired, but she also, this is a little deceiving because she goes through qualifiers, and the qualifiers happen on the weekend right before you enter the tournament. So if you play 2 matches there, you've just played 2 matches on back-to-back days. Makes it a little harder for the tournament too, because you're starting tired when you get into that first round. Makes it that much harder to have to come through the qualifiers. So to get some sort of deep run and actually earn points and go somewhere in the rankings would be so helpful, so that we can get her into the tournament proper, to where we don't have to worry about the qualifiers, and then that way 1 or 2 wins is actually getting you somewhere and earning points. She is in just an absolute dead zone. The morale is okay, and the form is okay. This keeps happening because by that 3rd day, she's already tired. So even if she is getting there, it's hard to get any further. Montgomery, physical condition was a little bit of an issue. I've taken care of it. Morale is a bit of an issue, but it's okay. And that form, it's somewhere. It's somewhere in between. It's not as bad as it was, but I just can't get much of anything going with her this season. But that little quarterfinal run has seen her jump back up to 89th, and that's going to go a long, long way to keep her high enough to get those automatic spots for the slams, which we desperately need. We remain right at the bottom of the Academy rankings and will for the foreseeable future, right? We're still not out of the spiraling debt cycle, even if end of year has a pathway forward, right? We are not breaking even on a monthly basis. We're not making small profit or making small deficit. It's still significant debt month on month on month. So we're still looking at years to overcome the dilemma and get off the bottom. We're looking at a massive challenge heading into this offseason with losing 3 of our 4 athletes. Will I find 3 athletes who can make slams and make money? I do not know. What I need to be doing and have not been doing is I need to begin searching, evaluating talent. I need to evaluate players that we can hopefully sign, because at the moment, that's a big thing coming here at the end of the year. So we're going to start turning our attention to evaluations. I only have 1 scout, and they're terrible. So it's going to take them a while to evaluate people. I don't necessarily care about quality, actually. So it's not going to be that big of a deal. If they're ranked in the top 100, then they can make slams. If they're ranked in the top 100 and are willing to sign with us, then we need them on board. And that's going to be like, we're going to talk to anybody and everybody in the higher rankings, regardless of age, regardless of other factors. We're going to sign anybody that we can, because if they're playing in higher level tournaments, they're making more money. And at this point, that's gonna literally be everything. And if we can get 2 out of 3, we can get 3 out of 3. Imagine, right? If it's 33K, give or take, for making a slam, not even getting anywhere with it, just qualifying. Let's multiply that by 3. It's 100K 4 times a year. That's 400K. Now, we had a little over 100K with Montgomery last year. She already missed one because of injury, but we're adding a whole lot of money. But it still depends a little bit on the share, and the share percentage might not be as good, and there's a lot of factors. I doubt we're looking at an extra 300K or 200K, but if we could sign some better athletes, it would be wonderful. If we can't sign a Montgomery, if we can't sign anybody in the top 200, if we can't sign somebody and help keep them in form, like, our situation might even be worse. There's so many variables at play here, but we are a long, long ways from resolving our issues. So much work left to do. So that's going to do it for this episode. Wish me luck with the period ahead, because it's been a rough year. We are starting, finally, through the month of April, starting to see some positive signs, getting somewhere. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.